Hello, welcome to BharatShakti.in. I am Brigadier Chatterjee, editor BharatShakti.in. Today we'll be talking about the capture of Tiger Hill in the Kargil sector. It was the 8th Battalion, the Sikh regiment, which was a famous regiment. The 8th Battalion was part of the forces that captured Tiger Hill. I have with me Colonel Ramesh Ghai, who was commissioned in 8th Sec. He commanded 8th Sec. He also took part in the IPKF operations in Sri Lanka. This story today is part of our series of episodes that we're bringing out on the Kargil operations, keeping in view the Kargil Divas. Welcome, Colonel Ghai. Welcome to BharatShakti.in.
Thank you, sir. Jai Hind, and very many thanks to Mr. Nitin Gokhale too for getting me onto your show and inviting me for a small little chat on capture of Tiger Hill.
Thank you so
And
much
Jai
for
Hind to
sparing the
all of you.
Thank you so much for sparing the time to be with us. My first issue that I want to put across to you is on the 9th of May, 8th Sikh moved from Pathankot to Pulwama. The battalion was actually to form a part of the counterinsurgency grid in a red hot area in Kashmir Valley. Now, within a few days of your unit possibly getting there, you got this move orders again to Kargil. Your commanding officer moved ahead to get instructions from the commander 121 Brigade at Dras, and the battalion moved across the Zozila Pass. That's about an altitude of about, I think, 3,500 meters plus, and reached Kargil. How was the journey at such a short notice? How did the unit reoriented itself to the new possibilities? And were all your ranks, the complete battalion as such, elated at the prospect of being deployed in a hot war zone?
Now, Brigadier Chatterjee put the things in the right perspective. The battalion under command of Colonel S.P. Singh had just moved in from Pathankot. They left Pathankot on 6th of May, and they were in the process of settling down in to be the exact location of the battalion was Balapur, which is part of Pulwama, and 11th Sector Rashtriya Rifles. They reached there on 9th of May, and on 12th of May, the warning order by Colonel S.P. Singh, the commanding officer, was received for preparing to move to the Dras sector for taking part in the active operations uh, taking place in that sector. So on 14th of May, early morning, the battalion started moving from Pulwama and reached uh, at a place called Padras, which, as you said, was across Zozila Pass and reached there by 1600 hours in the evening. That's where battalion had their first stop, and the battalion was located there for some time. The commanding officer, Colonel S.P. Singh, moved ahead to Dras immediately, without any respite. He immediately moved to Dras and met Brigadier Surinder Singh, that time commander of 121 uh, Brigade, which was deployed in Dras and was taking care of operations in that area. As is expected from any soldier from the Indian Army, the prospects of going into a battle is a very cherished dream. Anybody serving the army would love to go for operations, and my battalion, 8th Battalion, the Sikh Regiment, was willing to go in for the operations as they arrived at Pandra's location. Colonel SP left that location, and by that time, Major Dalbir Singh, the second in command of the battalion, was organizing the whole battalion for the impending task, which they didn't know yet what will be their task. So that's where we were at Pandras.
Right. Well, let's take the story forward a little bit. Pathankot is almost plains, and you were inducted for fighting in Kargil, Dras sector, altitudes of 4,600 to 5,500 meters, perhaps. These are very high altitudes. Was the battalion equipped for it? How about the extreme cold clothing, snow boots, goggles, a whole lot of equipment that you were supposed to be having with you?
Now, that's a very good question. But under the circumstances we were in, and at the short notice we moved for operations, we had no time to get hold of these extreme cold clothing and equipment, and we just moved in our normal winter clothing which we have. Everyone, all the Jawans officers have with them at all the time. So we moved with those clothing and arrived for the operations and reached the subsector.
See, subsequently, the battalion was tasked to capture point 4195, 4460, and also Tiger Hill. Give us the outline plan for capture to include the other battalions involved. In fact, what I'm talking about is the brigade plan. How did the operations thereafter progress?
Now, what happened was uh, immediately after Major Saxena left for his establishment of the block in the area earmarked, Colonel S.P. Singh was again called to the brigade headquarters and he was given this task of capturing points 4195.4460 and Tiger Hill. Now, battalion moved immediately and they arrived in Dras proper. In 16 Canadian was already deployed in that area, so they moved into Sando position, which was 16 Canadian post, and reached there by 0230 hours on 17th of May. And from there, they continued to move on after a bit of a respite and reorganizing for the climb and getting into the enemy areas. So, and they moved up through the Nala and Sando Nala and kept moving up straight to the heights and established the most important link up with Alpha Company, which Major Saxena had already uh, occupied in the area of between 0.4195 and 0.4460. So that was the link up when it was established.
Okay. Right, going further, on 20th May, your battalion was ultimately tasked to circumvent Tiger Hill from the east, reach Parioka Talab that you talked about, for an assault from that side. How did your battalion execute the task?
Now, immediately on reaching the blocking position of Alpha Company, CO uh, Colonel S.P. Singh, he, keeping the previous task given to him to capture Tiger Hill point 4195 and 4460, he immediately sent out three strong patrols to all these three objectives to probe the enemy defenses in that area and to see what was happening in those areas. To our good luck again, the two patrols which went to the 2 points, that is 4195 and 4460, they moved up, reached those locations, and found those were not occupied. However, they also reported back that traces of enemy troops being there are still there. So if they were occupied, maybe they were vacated somewhere or something over there, but they was once occupied by them. So immediately, two platoons from Alpha Company itself were dispatched to capture and occupy points 4195 and point 4460. And the third patrol was sent out to the Tiger Hill. The patrol which went to Tiger Hill didn't meet with much of success because of very hostile terrain, almost 85 to 90 degrees steep climb involved in climbing to Tiger Hill top, and uh, snowy conditions over there, so they couldn't make any headway, and they came back and fell back onto the location. So Major Kaushik after that came into play. He was tasked to occupy points 4195 and 4460, which he occupied with a platoon each. And in the meanwhile, CO again launched a patrol to go towards Tiger Hill. However, that patrol also couldn't make any headway. So the third patrol was launched to Tiger Hill uh, on 18th May early morning. Now, I'm discussing these operations in detail and covering day by day because each Sikh never had a respite for a period of about 2.5 months starting from 14th May. So they were always in operations, always doing something or the else, and always moving and doing something. So this patrol was, which was the third patrol which was going to Tiger Hill, was engaged by the enemy. From Tiger Hill, it was some distance away from Tiger Hill, and in that case, uh, we had our first casualties from that patrol. Like Ranjit Singh was a scout who was the first to come under fire. Then the patrol commander, Subedar Joginder Singh, in his effort to extricate the whole patrol from the sort of fire ambush they had landed themselves into, they both made their supreme sacrifice but saved most of the patrol. In the meanwhile, in our preparations for capture of Tiger Hill from the western side, we had started or beating a track in the snow. 8-6 was beating a track in the snow towards western spur area. Now that was also came under heavy enemy shelling, and one officer, that is Lieutenant Pallab Chaudhary, and 8 Jawans were critically wounded in this firefight uh, between the enemy and our troops in that area. Now, coming back to your question of 20th May. Now, by these actions, the enemy was being restricted, and Brigadier, the commander, then asked that our company should move into the area of Pariyon ka Talab, which was on the north and northwestern side of Tiger Hill. And aim was to take on Tiger Hill from the northern side. Now, through difficult terrain, and the company, Delta Company Patrol, moved through that area to the Nala, keeping in the shadow of the enemy fire, and they reached Pariyanka Club area and occupied that area, and there they dug themselves in and formed a sort of defenses position over there. Now, this was achieved by the last light of 20th May. Now, with this section of 8 Sikh and Delta Company going to Paryonkatla, the Tiger Hill was encircled from all sides by 8 Sikh, but for the Western Spur area. So that was the action of Delta Company, which went to Paryonkatla area.
No, when your patrols got stuck, etc., and you were trying to extricate them, how did you use your artillery in those circumstances?
Uh, at that time, there was no artillery OP with the patrol with them. But when Bravo Company, which was beating the track during daylight and under enemy observation, when they came in under fire, Major Mishra of 315 Artillery Regiment, he was our OP. So luckily he was at hand that time, and a lot of fire was brought upon the enemy, which was occupying the fences on the western spur as well as the Tiger Hill, and Bravo Company was that's how extricated, and that also gave a chance for the patrol to fall back to the firm base we had established over there.
Right. So you were mostly at Parioka Talab you reached. Now I want to know, and you said you have more or less isolated the Tiger Hill by then. Now give us the final disposal. How did you reach as close as possible to, I would say, Tiger Hill top when 13 grenadiers went on top, actually. So how was your disposition, and how did you manage to get there?
Now, on 20th or 6th of May, till that time, there are a lot of efforts made by 8 Sikh to close into Tiger and encircle it. The deployment of 8 Sikh that day was Alpha Company under Major Athor. You'll find that the officers have been changing their locations because, as we all know, we have very young officers in the infantry these days and 2 year, 3 year service. So the senior, a bit senior officer with 4 and 5 years senior officer had to move around a lot, and hats off to them. They managed the situation very well. New environment, changing from police to other, they managed very well. So by now the deployment was Alpha Company under Major Athor was at point 4460. They were guarding the southern approach to Tiger Hill. Charlie Company under Major R. Rajendran, they were holding Sando Heights with one platoon each at points 3675 and point 4460. They were guarding the eastern spur and northern slopes uh, of the Tiger Hill. Delta Company under Major Ravinder Singh had by that time after they had concentrated in Paryonka Talab area, and they were dominating area northwest of the Tiger Hill complex. Now, Lieutenant Sherawat, he was guarding the southwest of point 5100, and one of his platoons was tasked to put a block in Umbala, south of Dras, to stop any enemy infiltration into Dras general area.
So I guess that was your final position at Tiger Hill, or did you move up even further?
Look, the movement kept happening after that.
Okay, okay,
And let's come to that from 25th to 20 May, 25th May to 25th June. Sikh was going all around Tiger Hill and closing and tightening the noose from all sides and moving up the
okay,
slope as was permitted. Now, now on 6th of June, one of the platoons of Charlie Company secured point area which was closer to Tiger Hill on point 4460. Now, Delta Company moved on 7th of June from Paryonka Talab area to point 4460 to attempt an assault on Tiger Hill from that direction. Now, during this period of 18th to 24th of June, there were attempts made by other units which were made available for capture of Tiger Hill from generally northern directions. So attempts were made by 16 Grenadiers, which was already there in the Ras area, 17 Jat, and a patrol by horse instructors, horse high altitude warfare school instructors, and a team of 21 special forces. But the train, what it was, and the weather condition, nobody had any success in capturing of Tiger Hill area. And by now, 8 had been in operations continuously for 51 days, Shagun, and without any respite, and they were still in. So that's how the dispositions changed up to 25th of June.
right. Let's go back to another incident. I think it was something important, and we should talk about it. Your battalion lost a second lieutenant K. Bhattacharya and Sepoy Major Singh on 21st May, and their dead bodies could not be recovered. How did the eight sick boys get their own boys back? I would say.
Okay. Now, when Delta Company, when it moved from uh, Paryonka Talab area, they had to leave a platoon behind to keep the Tiger Hill encircled from that end, Paryonka Talab end. Now that platoon was also tasked to recover these bodies of our dead martyred soldiers. Now the In the meanwhile, Delta Company moved from Pariyanko Talab to 0.4460. However, this patrol, in addition to dominating the area, also kept sending patrols to locate the bodies of our fallen comrades. Now, bodies of Major Naik Ranjit Singh was located after 10 days of the incident. However, body of Lieutenant Kanad Bhattacharya was recovered sometime around 14th, 15th of July. And we then, all these bodies were brought back and finally sent to the resting place in their hometowns.
Give me an idea about, how are you doing casualty evacuation? You had people getting injured, people dying at that altitude. And what were you eating really? What was the kind of rations that were reaching up to you?
So, what to tell you about this? Now, casualty evacuation in those altitudes and those heights and that sort of terrain obtained in that area was not possible by air. There's only one casualty which was evacuated by air. That was uh, one of the patrols which had gone in, and one Jawan was evacuated from there. Now there were the terrain never we could no helipad could be made over there. Now and all the time airstrike was under direct fire from the enemy. So the casualty evacuation had to wait for some time. And when it happened during dark hours of the evening, and it's very rigorous, very rigorous. If you evacuate one casualty, it took 6 men to evacuate one man, to going down to the form base or to the base with the casualty. So nobody had time and the required number of troops to spare so many troops for casualty. The little help we had was in the form of morphine injections and all those. They people also ran out of them. Talking about rations, the troops operating in that area had realized that chocolates were more energetic than normal chakarparas and all we carried. So they had taken a lot of chocolate along with them. And as usual, as it happens, I think in most of the battalions or regiments of the Indian Army, stoves are carried along, kerosene stoves are carried along. They melted ice, made a cup of tea from the melted ice water on the kerosene stove, and they had chocolates or something, biscuits, etc., for continuously for 58 to 60 hours. So that's how they survived in those difficult times.
I just think HSIC did a great job. All of us know about it. Actually, there's no evidence required to prove that. Just if you could, my final question is, what about the gallantry awards? Uh, how was the tally?
So somehow we have missed on the most important operation which HSIC undertook. That was capture of the western spur, which comprised of the areas Helmet, India Gate, and Rocky Knob. That was the
Let's go ahead.
most important operation as far as capture of Tiger Hill goes. Now, Brigadier Bajwa took over command of the brigade. We had moved under 192 Mountain Brigade on 25th of June. He took over the command, and he decided that he will employ both 18 Grenadier and 8 Sikh for capture of Tiger Hill. The initial plan was that on the night of 3rd, night intervening 3rd and 4th July, 18 Grenadier will attack Tiger Hill from northeast and southeast directions, whereas 8 Sikh will simulate attacks from southeast, northwest, and southwest directions with a platoon each. And 8 Sikh was to provide a firm base too. And one company of 8 Sikh was earmarked as the brigade reserve. Now, as the operation of 18 Grenadiers progressed, unfortunately, they did not progress too well. And when By the time the brigade commander realized that we are not making any headway from this side, so he revised the plan and gave Sikh the task to capture India Gate, capture Helmet, and provide a firm base for the attacks, and we have some reserve to support this operations at point 4460. Now, the fire base was established about 200 meters short of the western ridge as the crow flies, and the company which was nominated was Major Ravindra Singh, now General Officer Commanding Division of the Indian Army. He, with the Ghatak platoon, he mustered a strength of two officers, four JSUs, and 54 gallant Khalsas with him, and they started moving from point 4460, and that is at 1000 hours on 5th of July. They went down the Tingal Nala southwards. They went down the Tingal Nala under full enemy observation during daylight hours, and from where the enemy could not observe, they had gone out of observation of the enemy. They took a northerly direction and hid themselves, like we say in the army, they like dogo for the whole day till last light in the Tingal Nala itself. Once the last light came, they climbed straight up the western spur, going straight through the onto the heights. You can say like mountain goats, they were climbing the heights, and they reached somewhere about 300 meters short of the ridgeline area, and from there, in the setting sun and the early moon, they could see the defenses of Western Spur, Helmet, India Gate, and Rocky Knob. So they observed there were three, four Sanghas in that area. After establishing the fire base, they moved up. They observed that there were three, four Sanghas in the area, in general area of between Helmet and India Gate and Tiger Hill. So they closed in a bit, and once they were in close range of these things, they used their rocket launchers, and in within 10 minutes they fired about 36, 40 HE rockets into the Sangars and destroyed all the seen, you can say, defenses or Sangars or defenses of the enemy, and charged up straight onto the ridge top. By that time, Major Winder had divided his team into three sub teams, one each uh, under Subedar Nirmal Singh, Naib Subedar Karnail Singh, and Naib Subedar Ravel Singh. And he had Lieutenant Sharawat with him as his 2IC, and going ahead and accomplish the task. So by 400 hours, they had reached the top. One platoon was given the task to capture Helmet, other was given the task to capture India Gate, and the third to capture Rocky Knobs. The first they captured was Helmet. From there, Major Ravinder, now Major General Ravinder, along with Captain Sharawat and his team, moved up to Helmet, captured Helmet. Then they moved on to the Rocky Knob and captured Rocky Knob. Then Major Ravinder moved back to India Gate area, which had become the fulcrum of defenses now occupied by 8th Sikh, and formed in for uh, fighting the counterattacks which were impending, which everyone knows that Pakistan and army, their basic tactics involves counterattack immediately after losing a position. So by these actions, the noose was closed. The noose around Tiger Hill was closed, Now, the Tiger Hill was surrounded from all directions. When they were capturing Helmet,
Okay.
the enemy troops were seen
Okay.
leaving their defenses and running out towards their defenses northern side of Tiger Hill. So that's how then Major Winder and his team they beat back two very resolute and spirited counterattacks by the uh, Pakistan Army or Mujahideen, whatever you want to call them. And in that counterattack, uh, their three officers were also involved. They were also killed. One of them was awarded by Nishana as the highest gallantry award. Now, to come to the crux of the operations of Helmet, India Gate, and Rocky Knobs, is that this fight lasted for 58 hours. That is from 1000 hours of 4th of July to 2000 hours on 6th of July. In this battle for the Western Spur, 3 JSUs and 15 other ranks made the supreme sacrifice. 2 officers, 1 JSU, and 18 other ranks, the gallant Khalsa, were critically wounded, and 1 OR was missing in action, believed killed. So, out of a force of 58 gallant soldiers, 39 were casualties. Now, the, what happened after that was uh, some high. After that was that 18 Canadians came in. They went up to the Tiger Hill, and it was captured without any major resistance because uh, operations conducted by 8 Sikh were very critical for capture of Tiger Hill. If 8 Sikh would not have captured Western Spur, Tiger Hill would have taken some more time to be captured.
In your point. Okay. We'll have to close in now. We're getting a little short for time. Uh, my last question, gallantry awards, and if you could answer it very briefly.
The gallantry, 8 Sikh was a lot of gallantry awards, but somehow the due was much more. Maybe sometime we'll make up for that. And we got 3 V chakras and 11 Sena medals for this operation only. 3 V chakras, 11 Sena medals, 12 mention in dispatches, Chief of Army Staff's Commendation Card, GOCNC's Northern Command's Commendation Card 21, Chiefs 14, Unit Citation. First thing, and maybe the last thing, what happened in India was a citation from the Punjab government
Okay.
for this
Okay.
action Battle on the Tiger Hill and Theatre on the Kargil.
Okay. I think that, I mean, that's quite a big tally actually, but we are very proud of your Badan 8 Sikh for having conducted a superb operation, I think, there in Kargil sector. Nobody can deny that to you. And thank you so much for narrating the whole story to us. And thank you, viewers. Do log in time and again, and you will find this kind of discussions, very interesting ones, that we're going to put out for celebrating the Kargil Divas. And thank you again, Pranav.
Thank you so much, Abhay Chatterjee. Again, my Jai Hind and Bharat Mata ki Jai to all viewers. Thank you so much for bearing with me, sir.
Thank you.